Hey, this is Dan, first-person looter, and I guess this is gonna be my review summary, the final summary of Starfield. I haven't 100%ed the game, but I've played about 2 days worth, about 48 hours. Got up to level 32 or 33. Completed the story, did a bunch of side missions, visited a bunch of planets. So I believe my review still is valid. I'm going to start with what I like. The graphics look pretty darn good, mostly. There are some weird anomalies, like the wide-eyed stares that you see online everywhere. And there's visual glitches. Some planets look a bit weak, but maybe that's a design choice, which is a poor choice in my opinion, with its limited palette of 2 to 3 colors for most planets and moons. It's usually dark or really foggy, very limited distance for visibility. The visual glitches, though, in total, are about 5% of what I've seen. The other 95% looks great, and the other 95% refers to all the textures and models of all the gear and all the loot, the tons and tons of loot, the human-built environments, the ships, and several planets for sure are all beautiful. Voice acting is usually okay, some characters way better than others. There's a lot of cartoony, over-the-top voices that sound like sarcasm to me. Again, that can be an artistic choice, but I don't like it when everything else is trying to be more realistic. And I'm told by the fans of the game that this game is going for realism. The music is beautiful. The soundscapes are beautiful. I'm on a Series S, the lowest of possible options on how to play it, and it plays pretty darn fast. It loads pretty fast on my Series S. Thank goodness, because of the many loading screens. There have been some hiccups along the way, some frozen frames, some worse than others, but the majority of it plays smoothly. Finishing the story missions. I think the story missions are pretty good. They do start repetitively, and they're bland. Go here to get this, go to another similar place to get the same thing in the same way. Repeat that exactly a third time, then a fourth time, then a fifth time. And there are plenty more bland story missions later, too. But there's some also really great ones that almost made me think I was playing a different game. They had interesting locations that had great graphics and an interesting story. Lots and lots of options on how to play through those missions. You can shoot, you could persuade, you could do stealth. Again, some pretty good voice acting in those missions. It was basically a combination of all the things I generally liked, aside from the final mission. So already from my positives, you can see I'm not totally blown away. Let's get to the bad. The game's mechanics are confusing. It's taken me forever to understand how I store, trade, keep, upgrade, etc., all the gear. It's hard to understand menu navigation when traveling, hard to understand how to survey planets. I spent 2 hours on my first planet, going in circles until I regretfully looked up help online. I never said I was the smartest person, but I've been able to understand the mechanics of a lot of other games. It shouldn't be this difficult. Things should have better explanations for those who need it. Characters talk over each other all the time. When I first load into the lodge, many times multiple characters start speaking, and one of them is, I think, starting to talk about main mission plots. There were some instances where I would listen to a recording of some kind and my NPC partner would start talking over all of it. There are annoying enemy bugs where they clip through walls. They get me, but I can't get them. Not a bug, but just as annoying. Enemies blend into the environments way too much. The area's colors are usually just 2 to 3 main similar colors, and they're muted and muddy. Many times I couldn't see the enemy because they wore those same clothes, plus all the smoke hit everyone. Now, of course, we did learn that there is one of those special abilities at the temple that you can get to highlight everyone. But, I feel like that just isn't enough. It's too late in the game. I should be able to see them a bit more easily without that special ability. And aside from that, I've had a couple of enemies pop out of nowhere right in front of me. Or when they clip through walls, when I thought that they're on the other side of it, and I should be safe, they get me. Being able to mark them doesn't really help in those instances. Also, there was a couple of enemies that when they die standing up, frozen. I hate getting around. We are given an entire universe, but no great way to traverse it. Menu systems for ship travel are complex, confusing, and convoluted. I'm still learning it. Opening up a menu, selecting a planet, traveling, getting to the planet but not actually landing on it, opening the menu again, selecting an area on the planet, traveling again, watching the cutscene of the ship landing. It's terrible. There are workarounds, such as selecting the mission for that location, but they aren't explained well. Sometimes the planet needs to scan you for contraband, other times not. Sometimes you can leave directly from being docked, other times you have to undock yourself. Thankfully, after you visited a location, you can fast travel to it a bit more easily. It's most easy when it's the location of a mission and you can get there almost directly to it from the mission selection menu. But again, it shouldn't need workarounds. The overall star system is a confusing mess. Why does it seem I need to take the long way around to get to a star system that looks like it's right next to me? Well, it turns out because while it's right next to me in 2D space on my screen, if you move the angle around, you can see it's actually much further away, forward from you, in the distance. So the long way around, quote-unquote, is actually systems getting progressively further away in a forward direction from you and toward your target system. Your location is literally in front of where you want to go. It's not next to you, as the full system map makes it seem at first. Also, there's no mini-map, and there's no real map at all, I guess because it's all procedurally generated. When you're on a planet, you can't run for long without running out of oxygen. That can run out even faster if you're encumbered, and when you're encumbered, you can't fast travel. You can upgrade your oxygen and your strength and equip gear to get ship upgrades that allow you to carry more, which is all pretty good. But many times I need other gear with different perks, and that takes away my ability to fast travel with what I have. And so far the oxygen upgrades is pretty insignificant against the vast amount of planet that I need to traverse on foot. The jetpack sends you up mostly. I hoped you could point yourself down in a direction and have the jetpack send me that way specifically, but no, it's mostly up. And on planets with low gravity, I have to wait until I slowly float back down to the ground. Speaking of, just trying to get onto a rock or any surface higher than my reach means I'm hitting the jump button, and then I'm sent way higher than I wanted. Now I have to wait to float back down. I mean, come on, I've spent 5 boring minutes getting here, and I'm excited to finally check out this abandoned base, for example, or whatever location, but I'm constantly jumping way too high as I look around, and I have to wait way too long to float back down to keep exploring. Not to mention, additionally, that while I'm running around, all of the environmental hazards are making it even more difficult to get around. They're hurting your health in all sorts of ways. And there's no vehicles. You're running around these empty planets with nothing really interesting to do or to look at as you make your way to this one area to get an artifact or special ability or a resource or trait. You can fast travel back to your ship, but again, only if you aren't encumbered. I'm glad to have at least some areas of interest, which is where you find artifacts or special abilities or planet traits. But the special abilities temple always looks about the same outside. It is the same inside. And you do the exact same thing at each, and really there should be something interesting to see or do along the way. How about a crashed spaceship like the one we see in the story mission to save Heller from the very beginning? Not that we can go into his ship. We should be able to loot crashed ships or even chests that have cratered into the planet from outer space where it may have gotten loose from a pirate ship or something. There is a ship every once in a blue moon that lands in the distance, but it's never in the direction I need to go. And I'm not detouring with all of the above issues. Encumbered, little oxygen, boring landscape, no vehicle. If not crashed spaceships or loot containers, what about micro outposts? Even if it's the size of a shed with an antenna or something, a little place we can go into and look for loot. There are a couple right near some main locations, so they don't really count as I'm now basically at my destination. Or even just a dead body that we can loot. I think I've maybe seen that once or twice in the dozens of planets I've been to. The scale of my wishes just keeps getting smaller. Not only could players use all of these dead bodies, sheds, loot chests, crashed spaceships as a chance to get loot, they can store loot there. Something we can do at major outposts, but that isn't helpful when they are so few and far between. I hate having to open the menu, then going into the planet's submenu, then going into another submenu that zooms into the area of the planet that I'm on, then figuring out where the place I want to go is in relation to where I am and place a marker. Many times I'm already at an existing point of interest with an icon and I can barely see my player icon, let alone which way I'm facing. I need to know which way I'm facing so I know which direction to turn my head towards to get to the next area of interest, because many times those areas are so far away that they're not picked up on the scanner. They really should be visible at any distance if it's my marker, and it took me a while to even see the tiny, tiny gray box on the HUD compass, an icon that looks nothing like the pin icon I placed on the full screen map, so I have to use the menu. I didn't even know it was my custom waypoint. Why would I? It looks nothing like my custom pin icon. The gunplay has been a struggle. Aiming either feels like I'm pulling the cursor through syrup, or it's sliding across ice. I've tried so many aim sensitivity settings, but I think I'm making small improvements only because I'm learning to work with these confines. I have yet to find much ammo for one of the guns I really want to use. Speaking of guns, what the actual F is with the lack of automatic ammo pickup? To get ammo for my gun, I have to pick up a gun that uses the same ammo. The ammo does automatically show up on my HUD, but now I have to do something with the gun that I just picked up to get that ammo. Because with such limited inventory, I have to drop stuff all the time, so I'm dropping the guns all the time after I've got their ammo, and it really slows down the momentum of the game. After spending 15 minutes walking in a slow, straight line across a boring, empty planet, I finally find an interesting location with enemies to engage in. I don't want to spend most of that time opening my menu just to drop guns. Even a game considered one of the most realistic, Red Dead Redemption 2, allows you to just walk near an enemy and the ammo's automatically picked up. Inventory. I'm glad that you can sort by different categories, but there are still tons of annoying things. One, the sorting option I choose is reset when I go back into that menu. 2, you can only see the information you want about the item if you choose to sort it that way or if you look at the item individually. This is especially annoying with guns when I want to compare guns of the same ammo type, for example. If I have a lot of guns that use 6.55mm ammo, I can see what guns use that type of ammo by sorting by ammo type. However, I then want to get rid of the heaviest guns that do the least amount of damage with that ammo type. I have to either memorize which guns I want to get rid of, then drop/sell what I remember, or write it down. I mean, come on, let us mark loot as junk and sell, just like Borderlands did years ago. Slightly related to inventory, but also speaks to the hard user experience, there are dozens upon dozens of these random items that you can pick up. Pens, notepads, decorations, food trays, pliers, hammers. I haven't been told what I can do with these. There's nothing in the item information card other than its weight and value. Is it just a way to make very little credits? Sure, there's so many of these that you could gather enough to make a perhaps sizable amount of credits, but at a terrible cost. It weighs you down in a game where every little bit of weight counts. It clogs up your inventory if you also have things that you care about, and worst, for me, it clogs up the screen. When I pull up my scanner in a man-made location, I see blue highlights everywhere, which makes it difficult to sort through which are the things I actually want, like ammo and good weapons and suits and crafting resources. Worse still, all of the nonsense they highlight to clog up your view, the one thing they won't highlight, in this case for example, is the abandoned research lab computer I'm looking for to expand my survey completion. Even more on ammo. We can't see what ammo guns use unless it happens to match the weapon we already have, and can see the ammo amount go up in the bottom right corner, or if we open up the menu and either sort by ammo type or inspect the specific weapon. Maybe I'm just totally spoiled from Borderlands, but they made sure that this info was almost everywhere, almost all of the time. In the Borderlands menu, you can see how much of every ammo type you have at all times, all at the same time. And if you highlight a gun, it's ammo type highlights. My wish is for Starfield to let us see all traits of weapons in list view. Let us sort and filter. Filter by whatever trait, like ammo type, and then sort those remaining items by whatever trait, like weight. Speaking of what isn't displayed, why is our level progress bar completely hidden unless we go into a submenu inside of another menu? And our health bar hides the exact numerical value of our health unless we go into that same submenu inside of another menu. In the heat of battle, I don't want to have to do mathematics and geometry to figure out how much health I'm getting from certain healing items. Oh, my health bar went up about 1 centimeter on my screen, and the info says it's 2% health, so 1 centimeter equals 2%. The rest of my health bar is another 4 inches, and 4 inches is 10.16 centimeters, so to fill my health I need... I don't even know how much health I need from any one item. I don't want to be doing that. Just let me see the health bar with numbers on it. I wouldn't be able to do the exact math on that either, but it would still be a huge leap in understanding on what my health is and how certain healing items help me. Example, my health can go from 0 to 50 when I start. It can upgrade up to 100 health. And hell, why not? You can upgrade it even to 200 health. So when I get a health item, it can say it heals 10 or 50 or 75. That's much easier math. I like that I can go to sleep for just 1 hour to fully restore my health, but that means finding a bed and I have to not be in battle. Being in battle is usually when I need health, though. I really wish they gave us more tutorials. You can still make it feel immersive without it seeming like the game developers are interrupting your role-playing to tell you how things work. Just have a character start talking to us about how to do something. I mean, there's already so many characters that talk and talk and talk. And if they aren't talking to you, they are asking to talk with you. So the game should just utilize this over-excessive amount of talking by having them say they want to teach us how the world works. Why can't the ship technician show us around? It could be its own side mission. Better yet, an activity. The technician can need help repairing a ship, and he could tell us, first you need to remove that old part by pressing X. Great job. Okay, now you need to get a replacement part from the box, so press A and then press X to get it. Hey, perfect. You just need to install the new part as easy as pressing Y and then A. Hey, mission complete. If you haven't noticed, the amount of talking is definitely something that bothers me also. I'm growing very tired of characters' extremely long dialogue, and when they aren't doing that, they're asking me to do that. Can I just play my own story without being bombarded by everyone else's? I don't mind some background and lore, but it's already become far too much. As for surveying, the bugs. My game has increasingly froze and crashed as I progressed. At first I saw occasional freeze frames for 3 to 5 seconds, separated by hours of gameplay. In my last playthrough, though, it froze like that twice in just a few minutes. One of them crashed the game and I had to force quit. One of those freeze, force quit situations made me lose not only a ton of progress, but I lost where an abandoned research station was. There is some good. There is. I like it enough that I've played it this much, even though I've had constant frustrations. But at this point, there just isn't enough good to make me want to, at this point, play the game over again in New Game Plus. At the moment, it's at least entertaining enough that I'll continue, maybe, but I have a lot of other games I want to play, and Starfield has felt more like it's stealing my time, more than me enjoying my time with it. Going back to the story, I'm going to spoil the ending here. I was hoping that the way the game ended and the way it changed to New Game Plus would be something that would finally get me on board with the game, because I was told by several reviewers that New Game Plus has an amazing implementation. Well, when I was starting New Game Plus, it said it was going to start me with only my skill tree, but all of my loot is gone. That's just insane and unacceptable. If Bethesda is really known for all of the loot that they make and all the things that people want to collect, why just take that away from us? I spent so much time consolidating and organizing, and we have chests, and we're selling things for credits, and we're building our ship, we're doing all of this stuff, and you're just going to take that all away? I don't understand it. I was excited to get to New Game Plus because I thought I would be able to do the story missions and all side missions with all of my current gear, so I could focus more on the story, not worry so much about what I have or don't have. I don't know. This game just was not completely enjoyable for me. And I think my 5 to 6 out of 10 rating still stands. I mean, what does a rating really mean anyway when there's so many different games? How do you put the same 0 to 10 rating system? How do you use the same 0 to 10 rating system for games when games can be so vastly different in what they're trying to do, what stories they're trying to tell? It does seem like there is tons and tons and tons of content in Starfield, but as someone mentioned, it feels like it's quantity over quality. For some people, maybe just having an almost infinite amount of things to do, no matter how large or small, no matter how boring or exciting, that player may love a game like this to have so much to do. Sometimes I enjoy doing things like that. I just enjoy completing tasks in games sometimes, but there's just way too many in this game, and there are way too many bugs and problems and annoyances for me while doing that. Part of the main missions were ruined because I had a character talk over a recording right in the final act of the game, right when things sounded like they were getting the most interesting. I couldn't hear what the recording was saying because my NPC was stammering on about I don't know what, about needing to talk to me about whatever random thing they wanted to talk about, or they were just commenting on the earth. It's very frustrating. I could reload a save maybe, but what if my save is way too far back? I don't want to have to redo all of that. And honestly, it's not even fun to have to go back and do it. Your first impression is the most important.